All right, let's dive right into an incredibly intricate mystery that unfolds within Spider-Man: Brand New Day. We are looking at a truly terrifying escalation here. I mean, we're talking about a storyline that is absolutely packed with intense psychological thriller elements, deeply rooted biological horror, and these staggering, emotionally charged confrontations. We're stepping directly into the shadows of a city where the familiar, comfortable rules of heroism just don't apply anymore. All the bright lights and standard everyday heroics, they have been completely stripped away, leaving us with nothing but a dark, cinematic nightmare. So let's meticulously unravel exactly what kind of visceral horror our hero is about to walk into. And we're going to step through every terrifying moment of this descent, piece by piece.
We are going to start right at the very core of this creeping dread. We have to address this massive question that haunts our hero from the shadows. Who do you think is actually watching these? This one line immediately immerses us in a suffocating sense of surveillance. I want you to really paint a picture of this in your mind. You are a street-level defender, right? You're completely used to swinging high above the danger, looking down at the threats on the pavement below. But suddenly, without warning, the tables are completely turned. You realize the dark alleyways actually have eyes. When the response to this creeping, terrible feeling is a dismissive, maybe someone, well, by someone, it creates a profound, bone-deep dread. Our hero is completely isolated in this gritty reality, entirely unaware of the massive, looming scale of the entity that is quietly studying his every single move. The net is closing around him, and he doesn't even realize he's become the prey.
And then, the true threat introduces itself, from the darkness with a deeply chilling bait and switch. When we hear this exchange, we instantly recognize a severe, immediate escalation in danger. Our hero firmly believes he is cornering Mac Gargan, the Scorpion. Now, we all know Scorpion's baseline threat level, right? He is a brutal, purely physical menace. He relies on heavy armor, overwhelming mechanical strength, and sheer blunt force trauma. He's a formidable rogue, absolutely, but he's a known variable. You know how to fight him. But the voice that answers back shatters the very foundation of the encounter. You think I'm Scorpion? I'm much worse. The sheer horror of an entity that calmly, confidently considers itself vastly superior to an already lethal monster is just paralyzing. It's the sudden, terrifying realization that your intelligence is completely wrong, all your preparation is utterly useless, and the shadow you thought you were cornering is actually the one cornering you.
Section 1. A threat worse than Scorpion. The mystery villain emerges.
Let's really examine exactly what happens when a mystery villain of this massive caliber emerges. The sudden introduction of this unknown entity changes absolutely everything about the narrative. We seamlessly transition from a straightforward punch-by-punch action sequence into a tense, entirely unpredictable psychological thriller. Look at the stark contrast we're dealing with here. Scorpion represents a highly physical threat. It's a battle of fists, tails, and armor. But I'm much worse. That implies a threat that completely transcends the physical realm. It promises psychological domination, a complete lack of moral restraint, and absolute, unchecked devastation. We are no longer asking how our hero is going to win the fight. We are desperately asking who or what he is actually fighting. A hero usually relies on knowing his enemy's deep-seated motives to gain an edge. But this new adversary surgically strips all of that away, leaving the protagonist completely exposed to the terrifying, boundless unknown.
Now, what's really fascinating and frankly terrifying about this next phase of the mystery is how the conflict suddenly turns violently inward. What exactly is happening to the hero beneath the suit? Because you see, the external threat in the shadows is undoubtedly terrifying, but the ultimate betrayal here isn't from an ally or a supervillain in the streets. No, the ultimate betrayal is coming from his own cells. The battlefield is no longer just the cold concrete of the city. It has become a desperate, frantic struggle for survival happening on a microscopic genetic level.
Section 2. The mutating DNA crisis. A hero's internal struggle.
This mutating DNA crisis acts as the ultimate, unforgiving ticking clock. You can punch a physical villain all day long, but you simply cannot punch your own genetic code as it rapidly and aggressively rewrites itself. This sheer desperation forces our hero to invoke the name of Dr. Bruce Banner. And we really need to fully grasp the sheer gravity of reaching out to Banner for help. Bruce Banner is the physical embodiment of a biological curse. He is the preeminent mind on chaotic radiation and completely uncontrollable genetic mutation. So by turning to him, we instantly understand that our hero is facing a fate far worse than just dying in battle. He is actively losing his humanity. The raw, breathless panic in the words, "I gotta fix whatever this is right now," paints a vivid picture of a man staring into the mirror and seeing an absolute abomination staring back at him. He is in a dead sprint against his own deteriorating biology, entirely stripped of the traditional superpowers that usually keep him safe.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this mutation is so phenomenally dangerous, the hero issues a direct, desperate protocol to his loved ones. Let's really break down the sheer, heartbreaking tragedy of this specific situation. The diagnosed issue is the mutating DNA. The urgent action is a frantic, scrambling attempt to cure it. But the warning protocol? If you see me at this house, run. That is absolutely devastating. It is a profoundly tragic inversion of the classic hero's journey. You see, the hero's primal instinct is always protection, but now he must protect his loved ones from himself. He is intentionally isolating himself, standing alone in the pitch dark, explicitly telling the people he cherishes most in the world that he is actively becoming the very monster they need protection from. The person who usually stands bravely as a shield between the innocent and the dangerous is now begging the innocent to run away. It paints a vivid, agonizing picture of absolute, gut-wrenching isolation.
Let's step even deeper into this nightmare. Because when the city's main shield is cracking from the inside out, the entire city is left completely exposed. Think about it. If our hero is fundamentally compromised, physically breaking down, and intentionally isolating himself, who is left to protect the innocent? And even worse, what kind of highly advanced, unseen threat can effortlessly hide in plain sight while our sole defender is paralyzed by his own decaying biology?
Section 3. An invisible enemy. The paranoia sets in.
When you are facing an invisible enemy that can literally be anyone, we step firmly into the incredibly tense, suffocating realm of an espionage spy thriller, layered directly over our tragic hero's journey. Let's understand these terrifying parameters because they change the game entirely. The stark reality that this entity can be anyone is the ultimate fuel for paranoia. When you cannot trust your own eyes, every shifting shadow becomes a lethal threat, and you are forced to second-guess every single civilian walking past you on the street. But here is the truly fascinating, horrifying twist to all of this. You're the only one who's immune to it. You're the only one who can sense it. Now, while that specialized immunity might sound like a massive tactical advantage on paper, it is actually a horrific curse. Why? Because it means he cannot actively enlist help. He cannot go to the authorities or trust his allies because they might already be compromised, or they simply won't believe his warnings because they are physically incapable of sensing the danger themselves. The immense responsibility falls entirely on his fracturing shoulders. He's like an atlas carrying a crushing weight that no one else in the world can even perceive.
Section 4. The final confrontation. Pushed to the brink.
As we piece together the final fragments of this nightmare, we realize we are being pushed directly to the brink. This massive pressure cooker we've been examining, the suffocating paranoia, the terrifying mutating DNA, the elusive invisible enemy, it all violently converges right here. You're losing it, kid. This taunt powerfully highlights the severe psychological toll of the battle. Picture the scene in your head. Our hero is hallucinating, utterly exhausted, his body failing him from the inside out, and he is pushed to the absolute edge of a complete mental breakdown. But the most alarming part of this confrontation is the chilling realization. You're not going to get away with this, but he might. Who exactly is he? This critically tells us there are multiple dangerous variables converging all at once. The hero is systematically failing on multiple fronts simultaneously. He's been forced into an impossible no-win scenario, realizing that while his mind and body are breaking down, the true target might just slip right through his bloody fingers.
And then, right in the dead center of this grueling psychological warfare, the physical threat escalates in the most grotesque way imaginable. I didn't know you could get that big. This specific shocked reaction implies a sudden, massive, visceral transformation occurring right in the middle of the fight. I want you to feel the sheer panic of this exact moment. Our hero, who is already physically depleted and rapidly losing his grip on his sanity, suddenly feels the very ground shake beneath his feet. He watches helplessly as his opponent's flesh actually mutates, growing into a towering, unstoppable monstrosity that literally blocks out the streetlights above them. It perfectly echoes the overarching themes of chaotic biological manipulation we discussed earlier. If the hero is terrifyingly mutating from the inside, the villain is now mutating on the outside. It instantly shifts the massive scale of the confrontation from a strategic, stealthy battle of wits into an absolute, visceral, city-destroying powerhouse brawl. The specific use of the word mate here gives us a very distinct vocal fingerprint. It heavily suggests an international, hardened mercenary element has been added to this bloodbath.
and this extremely high-pressure ultimatum, it signals an absolute point of no return. The ticking clock of our hero's mutating DNA has finally hit zero. At the exact same moment, a towering monster is about to level the entire city block. Walk through our hero's racing mind in this exact, paralyzing split second. This is the ultimate narrative squeeze. Do you somehow try to find a way to save yourself from the biological terror actively destroying your internal organs, or do you throw your broken, failing body directly at the giant monster currently destroying everything around you? There is absolutely no time left to strategize. There is no time to think or plan. There's only time to make one entirely irreversible choice.
We have meticulously unpacked a beautifully dark, cinematic story of intense paranoia, where every single shadow hides a potential threat. We've witnessed the visceral horror of failing, mutating DNA, and the sheer, unadulterated terror of facing down a towering monstrosity against entirely impossible odds. And that brings us to the final moments of this breakdown. Let's end this on a high note, huh? I really want to leave you with this highly provocative, lingering question. Take a second to consider just what kind of destructive, chaotic, high note this massive collision of nightmares ultimately reaches. Is it a grand, heroic sacrifice where our breaking hero finally saves the day with his absolute last breath? Is it a devastating, city-leveling explosion that leaves nothing behind? Or is it a chilling, incredibly sarcastic remark delivered in a quiet, dusty aftermath by a villain who has just achieved total, absolute victory over our broken defender? What do you think this high note truly means for our hero?